Hi, good evening. If you're speaking, we cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. You seems to be on mute.
Okay, no problem. So I'm just setting up the live stream, so I haven't started yet, okay?
Oh,
Just give,
okay.
okay. And let me check. I should be live. I'll just double check on LinkedIn.
I cannot hear you. You seems to be
Okay. 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 Awesome, Lakshmi. Thank you for letting me know. So it is live. We are live. And your voice saying that I'm on mute was the beginning. So I'll edit that out later for the live stream. Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm Sudha Jamthe, and this is Sudha Live. I've been talking to my students here on this live stream once a month now, and seems like a long, long time, and I missed you guys. And now I have students who are taking courses, my LinkedIn, my AI courses, generative AI course on LinkedIn Learning. So I'm seeing a lot of new students coming through. So welcome to my new students. And this month, I'm doing something different where instead of me just live streaming onto LinkedIn and then talking to you there, I am also doing a different approach where I've invited some of you to join me here on Zoom because I'm going to do a building with Agent AI as our topic today. Okay. And so those of you who are on Zoom, and some of you who are watching that, if you want to be on Zoom, the difference in Zoom is you will be able to chat discreetly with me on Zoom or ask questions live. Based on what you're doing, I might even be able to see your screen if we want to make it as interactive. So let's see how it goes, okay? So let me show you the link. Some of you are asking me this. So this is the link. I'm going to put this on the YouTube live stream. Let me add it in the comments here. Okay. We are live. Building an agent AI today. Okay. Join here on LinkedIn live or get onto this list. Join, get Zoom link. Okay. Okay. So I'm still adding the Zoom link here for those of you who are watching on LinkedIn Live because I see you only as a number. I say this every time. If you're on LinkedIn Live, I see you only as a number, and that's okay if you just want to watch and follow along. But this time I'm making an exception. This time Sudha Live is about building an agent AI, and I've invited some of you to be on Zoom. Thank you for more people joining here on Zoom. So I've posted a link on the live on LinkedIn Live. So if you'll join that, then I can give you the Zoom link from there. Or if you want to be notified on future Agent AI relate specifically on Agent AI, because I talk about AI, I teach AI, autonomous vehicles, Gen AI, LLM, various different aspects of AI, different levels of classes. So specifically on Agent AI, I have a new LinkedIn Learning course coming up, not yet officially out. So I will be announcing that. And based on the learning we are doing here today, I'm going to, announce another course also. So I have a couple of Agent AI courses coming up. So that's the place for you to sign up just to get Agent AI related stuff from me, okay? So let's get started. And those of you who are on Zoom, this is recorded, this is live stream. The live stream will sit as a recording for other people to come and watch. So if you don't want to be in the recording, I don't have a way to go back and edit it later. So don't be on camera or don't speak up if you don't want to be in the recording, but you can participate fully. If you are okay with, asking questions, I'm fine to hear your voice, and I would love it, in fact. And that interaction would, help me customize what I'm going to teach today. And you can ask your question on the chat if you just want to be discreet. That's okay. And feel free to introduce yourself. Tell us if you already are working with AI or you're new to AI or what do you expect to learn today. Everything is fine. So chat away. Okay. So I am excited always. Everybody who knows me knows that I get very excited when I get to meet my new students. So with LinkedIn Learning, what is happening is I'm seeing a bunch of new students, and then some of you come in and talk to me. Some of you actually like finish my course and just post a comment on LinkedIn. So it just makes my day because I don't know you. You might be 3 degrees of separation away from me on LinkedIn. So I'm going to share one such student that I want to welcome. This is Enoch Bayoki. Enoch Bokai. Enoch Bokai. And Enoch Bokai, if I'm not pronouncing your name right, please, please, please correct me. I'm very big on pronouncing names right. Okay. So I'm Sudha Jamthe, and I like my name to be pronounced right too. So Enoch, thank you so much for finishing my AI in Connected Products IoT course. I love the summary that you wrote on, what you got from this course and how you like it, how you're going to apply this in your work. So wish you much success. And I actually want to share how any of my students can connect back with me, because I have a community and I love staying in touch with my students and giving them more learning resources. So let me put it in slideshow mode. So my student community is called Business School of AI. So you can find me on Business School of AI on LinkedIn. And other than that, if you are an email person, you can get my Jamthe newsletter on Mondays. You might be aware of my generative AI book. Or if you would like to come and listen from past students who have made career pivots to AI, or they're applying their learning in AI in industry, because all my students are innovators, professionals in industry. And we invite speakers from around the globe to bring us a sense of reality from various different industry, teaches new topics. It's a wide range of speakers and topics. It's called Weekly Wed. So if you want to, join the Weekly Wed, it's on 9 o'clock on Wednesdays. So here's the thing. And if you just want to screen grab this and share it with your friends on how you can connect with me, or tell your fellow alums, I would love it, because I love my students when they come back and tell me what they're doing, or they're facing a challenge and they want to, get my help. I love it. Okay. So now let's get to business. So today I'm going to talk to you about building agent AI. So before we jump into the topic, I need to know, just to, make sure that at what level I need to be teaching this class. And for those of you who are on LinkedIn, if you are, since you're not engaging directly, what you could do is you could add a comment, ask questions. I will come check here on LinkedIn. This is actually streaming onto LinkedIn and YouTube, but I'm checking only on LinkedIn, guys, just to, keep the conversation going. The other thing is, what you can do is you can just do a thumbs up, thumbs down. There's no thumbs up option, down option. This is a thumbs up, or, love, or, some one of the emojis out there, not the laughing emoji, out there to answer my questions, right? And then follow along. And afterwards, if you try this, I'm going to give you a bunch of tools, how to go build agents. If you want to jump in and try this in parallel, that's great. And if you have follow-ups, you can come post questions and comments. Even if you're watching this later, I will try and look at this a couple times, as long as LinkedIn sends me notification to come back to answer your questions. And I just showed you other resources. Otherwise, you can come and post on Business School of AI, and I will answer your question. If you post it on Business School of AI on LinkedIn, that's my student community, I will answer your question, even if you come 1 week later. Okay, that's my promise. Okay, so today we are talking about building agent AI. So let's take a step back. So and I'm going to ask the people who are here on Zoom first, right? You've been working? Okay, I see one person who's saying they're beginners. Is there anybody here who has been working with AI? Show of hands. And for those of you who are just joining here, we are going to build agent AI. So I want to make sure that we have a foundation on AI, agents, and then get to the building part and put this in perspective. Because my students are all from industry or your adult learners, it is important not just to kind of sit through a class and listen through what is AI, what is agent AI, and this is how it does reasoning, and here's the tool. It is important to ask questions and tie this to what you already know or you're working in your industry. You might be surprised, you will be surprised that you would know a lot more of this. You might just not know the jargon of this. So starting with AI is unique from other technologies because AI is built using data. And the way AI is built, and today we're focusing on building agent AI. So I'm going to talk to you about AI from a perspective of building. Okay, we can talk about various different applications and impact and ethics and whatnot, but that's not what we're going to do today. Building AI. So AI is a unique technology, unique set of technologies, and the way it is done is by trained with data, and it is done as a two-step process. So data can be images, can be Excel data, numbers, it could be voice like my sound. All of it can be used as training data to generate a footprint or a piece of software called AI, right? That's the training AI. This is iterated with more and more and more data till the AI gets really good at making predictions. So can the AI recognize faces? Can it recognize my voice? Can it predict weather patterns? Can it understand, some kind of data in a manufacturing production setting? So it could be for safety, but all AI does two things. One, it is trained with data. Second, it does predictions. By making predictions, what it is doing is it is not going to give the same answer every time because it's doing a probability and it is predicting. That is why you need to train and retrain AI till it can make predictions. So I want to pause here. This is the basics of AI, right? Because we are going to get into the building of agent AI. So the basic of it is that we need to know AI, right? So AI is trained by data and AI makes prediction. Data makes predictions. Would you add anybody else who is here who's not new to AI? Would you add anything else about AI for somebody who's new to AI, trying to make sense of AI, other than it's trained by data and it's making prediction? Would you add anything that's characteristic of AI? Just curious if I'm missing something here. Yeah. So AI is trained by data. I'm posting it a comment. Trained by data and makes predictions, right? That's how it works. Okay. So the next step, based on data set, the results can be different. Exactly. So if I'm training AI to understand a set of faces, and this is what happened in industry, where people would say, oh, I'm going to build a facial recognition AI model. Then they would say, I want pictures of people. They would take their picture, and then they would take pictures of their colleagues and people around them, and they will build a model. Now the model is limited by whatever data it has been given. And so if it doesn't have diverse set of faces, it's not going to recognize everybody. And that is how bias creeps into AI. And so that's a very good point. Thank you for saying that. And so when you're talking to Alexa is doing voice recognition. And sometimes Alexa understands my accent. Sometimes Alexa does not understand my accent. And it's because enough data, which sounds like me, has not been fed to Alexa. So the third aspect of AI, so the one is it's trained by data. Second, that it's making a prediction. So every time it hears a new voice, Alexa is saying, is this Sudha's voice? Do I understand what she's saying? And it is trying to recognize that. Sometimes it recognizes, sometimes it doesn't recognize. So based on the confidence level of that probability when it's making a prediction, it might recognize what I'm saying and it might get me the answer. Sometimes it might misunderstand. So two other key characteristics of AI is very narrow. So whatever data set it has been trained, it knows only that. And based on that, it thinks it knows the answer. AI will not say, I don't know. AI will not say sorry. You might hear Alexa saying sorry. You might say ChatGPT saying, I don't understand. Can you rephrase that? it is not the AI saying sorry, it is the UI they've set up to make it say that. But AI, when it makes a prediction, would say, this is Sudha, this is what she's asking, this is the voice of whoever, right? It is 100% trying to fit within its memory of what it has learned. And it thinks that's the end of the world. That's the boundary of the world for AI. This is very, very, very important because, to your point here, when AI is trained by a data set, and it is now you bring a customer and you tell your customer, hey, it can understand your voice. Now tell it to drive the car, tell it to do something, right? If it doesn't have that person's voice, like voice in its memory, in its learning, it is not going to understand. So each time you try a different data set, and this is a very, very important role for product managers. When vendors come in and say, this AI can do this, it can actually shortlist your candidates to see who to call for an interview. This is a very important AI use case that should be dealt rightly, right? But instead, there's a lot of tools out there and a lot of them are buggy. And what happens is somebody tests it in HR, it works with their voice, and they say, hey, I want more people to test it. Everybody in the company tests it and it works. Then when real candidate shows up, it doesn't recognize them because the data set doesn't have somebody like them. So that is one. So the AI will not say, I don't know, that I failed, I told that person. So right after COVID, the people were asked to wear masks, and only then they could enter malls, and it might not recognize the person, right? It might say, I don't know, you're not wearing a mask when they're wearing a mask, or it might say you're wearing a mask when they're not wearing a mask, right? So it can fail either way. It can have a false positive or a false negative. And so when you were building products, so coming back to our topic, building agent AI. So when you're building, you have to know the characteristic of AI, trained by data, limited by what data that it has been trained on, making predictions. Predictions could be wrong. AI will never say sorry. It thinks it knows the answer and it will fit within that. It can fail in two different ways. It can fail with false positive or false negative. So when you're building AI, it is important to know what is more important. What is, if it makes a false positive, is that detrimental to your customer? If it makes a false negative, is that detrimental to your customer? What is it that you need to catch as a boundary condition and plug it in and escalate to a human, or make the AI come and say, I'm sorry, can you repeat this? Can you rephrase this? That kind of thing. So that's the false positive or false negative, two different ways, and you need to plan for that in your design. Okay, so the fact that AI is designed by data, that it is making predictions, it is narrow AI, it never says sorry. It is different for different people. So each time I interact with AI, it is making a new prediction. And so it is not the same AI, it is not going through the same path in its neural network to get me the answer. Each time it is going to recall what it has learned differently. So that is called, the point you made about different data set, that's called fairness or bias. And the new point I'm making, that it is not, it goes to a different path in its neural network, that it is not transparent, it's called explainability. So these are the core principles that you need to understand about AI in general. Forget if it's generative AI, whether it is agent AI, we'll get to that. But the fact that you're talking about AI means it's trained by data, it's making predictions. Predictions can be wrong, can be false positive or false negative. It is limited by the data set that it has in its training. Nobody tells you what the data set is. There is no transparency. And each time you interact with it, it's called stochastic behavior, where it is making a prediction every single time. Every single time, it's like you throw a dice and it gives you a different number. Interacting with AI is like throwing a dice and looking at what is the answer. And it is not going to be the same for you and me. It is not going to be the same for me today versus me tomorrow. And so if you're running an e-commerce site and you're expecting a customer to get a recommendation, when I interact with it at 5 a.m. in the morning versus I interact with it at 8 a.m. in the morning, it's going to give me a different recommendation based on in its memory, even its data, what it has, and how it's perceiving my data. So I want to pause here. This is basic foundation of AI, which you could get a whole course on AI for weeks, but I tried to give a quick summary because we are going to move forward to the concept of building agents. And I want to next jump into generative AI and agents. So anybody here in the room, if you want to, talk to me, ask me questions, I'm happy to answer questions. Do you have any questions right here? Let me go look at LinkedIn. And thank you for people hanging around here on LinkedIn. So all I've done is I'm promised to teach you building with agent AI. And what I've given you is the foundation of AI, right? Data, prediction, narrow AI, false positive, false negatives. And each time we interact with AI, it is a different interaction. It is stochastic. And so when you build with AI, you have to say what kind of training data has it been trained, test it to make sure does it work equally with fairness, how do you account for explainability, and how do you deal for false positive, false negative. This is like a basic premise by which we will get started into building AI before we move into building agent AI. No questions? Give me a thumbs up, guys. And those of you who are on Zoom, if you don't want to be in the recording, you don't need to, feel compelled to, speak or anything. No problem at all. Yeah. Okay. So the next step, what I want to move forward to is that is the premise of AI. So now you hear about different topics on AI. So there's machine learning, deep learning, now the new world of generative AI, and now there is agent AI. So I want to get you onto a common starting point. Thank you. I want to get you to a common starting point on understanding agent AI, but the world of AI. So you'll hear about machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, facial recognition, NLP. So if you're new to the world of AI, the easiest place where I recommend is, awesome, thank you for the thumbs up. I love you. Thank you so much. So the easiest place to get started, there are many courses and options out there, but I have my LinkedIn courses, LinkedIn learning courses, where you can learn AI very easily. I thought I had my LinkedIn learning courses here, guys. And let me go find it. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to go here because, I don't want to spend too much time on the foundation of AI here, but I want to give you resources so that you can go there. Okay. So I just went to this place. So on LinkedIn, there's a LinkedIn learning app if you just want to look at that, guys. Or I think you can find me as an instructor, right? I say LinkedIn. Okay, let me find that. I go to LinkedIn, linkedin.com/learning/instructors/Sudha Jamthe. I do that, and then I go in. I could go through my Stanford account or my personal account. I'm going through my personal account. I have 3 courses, and I'm very excitedly waiting for my 4th Agent AI course to drop. So if you want to learn the foundation of what is AI, this training, how to build, what I was telling you about, there's no code. Here's the basic course. No code AI, harness the power of AI without programming, right? This one will teach you machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, natural language processing, the foundation of different kinds of AI. Today, this AI, which I listed, is called traditional AI because this was the AI of the past before we got to generative AI. And I also have another course for those of you who work with devices, cars, manufacturing, all kinds of things, smart home, smart city, about AI in connected products. But these 2 courses are similar. This just talks about IoT, right? So this one is the most recent course from April, which is about no-code AI, no-code generative AI. Generative AI is the latest, greatest, newer AI. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. And this is where Agent AI comes in. So these are all my courses. And then you go in and LinkedIn gives you beautiful recommendation. based on your profile, what you click, and what you have, what you want to learn. There are so many amazing instructors, my fellow instructors on LinkedIn Learning, with so many courses on AI, so you can learn any level of courses with any dimension. So I would highly recommend that. So we've talked about building AI and the characteristics of AI, and all the AI, which was machine learning, deep learning, is just different kind of data sources. If you're trained with numbers, or we train the AI with images, or you've trained it with words, and it just becomes different kind of AI. But the same concept is, it's trained on data and it's making a prediction from its learning, is traditional AI. Machine learning is still such a powerful concept, and it is still the foundation of all AI. In fact, Professor Jeffrey Hinton, who created a new kind of neural network with the machine learning, got Nobel Prize for physics just this week. So, AI is kind of, everywhere pervasive. That is traditional AI. The difference between traditional AI and this new thing that you keep hearing about called generative AI, where agent AI comes in, is traditional AI is trained by data, and it makes a prediction based on what it has in its learning memory, right? Generative AI generates new stuff. Okay, question for the class. Can anyone tell me what is generative AI or characteristic of generative AI? And I'm going to go, I see people here on Zoom, but I don't want to be biased to the people on Zoom, because I always talk to my students here on LinkedIn, and many of you will come back, watch this too. So what's different with generative AI? Okay, so generative AI means the AI is not just limited to what is in its memory and recall from there. It is generating, it's extrapolating its learning and generating pictures. So if you ask generative AI to create a picture of a dog, it is not going to just fetch an image of a dog from its memory. Chances are it will create a dog which looks like something in its memory, because that's what its learning is, but it generates a new dog each time. If you ask ChatGPT to write poetry and give a prompt, each time the poetry is going to be different, and it's newly generated. It is not a piece of words that's already in its memory. Whether the poetry should be generated and whether it should be pretending to be an artist is a totally different discussion. I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm going to talk about useful things you can do with AI that will enhance our humanity. That is where agent AI comes in. Does anybody here know what is agent AI? Do you want to give me a definition of agent AI? And I'm going to go to LinkedIn too. Does anybody know what is agent AI? Again, I showed you a bunch of my courses on LinkedIn Learning, and the generative AI course and my IoT course both have a small lesson on agent AI. I did the generative AI course in April, and generative AI was just one of the topics in there. So I've shown generative AI. In fact, I've shown a way to, shown a tool by which you can even build one. So that's generative AI. So generative AI generates content. It could generate words, chat with you like ChatGPT. It could draw pictures. If you go to Gemini, ask it to draw pictures, it will draw pictures. It will create videos. They're really not great quality right now, but it is conceptually, technology-wise, it is there. Things like that, right? So that it is generating. Now there has been an exuberance on this, saying, oh my God, it's writing poetry. Oh my God, it is making marketing copy. It is actually like doing all these, generation stuff. And we kind of reached a place, saying, okay, all this generation is great, but what's the point? Why should it be drawing things and it's not as great as an artist drawing it? Why should it be writing a copy? We have to review it, and it might be hallucinating and it might not be accurate. So it was not creating business value till we got agent AI. That is why there is so much excitement about agent AI. And okay, again, question for the class. How many of you have chatted with ChatGPT here? You can just do a show of hands, because you won't be on camera here. Okay. So ChatGPT is become quite a cliche, but that is built on GPT. And even the search engines today, let me see whether I can go to a search engine in Google and see whether you can make it talk to us, right? Okay. Actually, I'm not going to go to the Google search engine example because I want to get to building agent AI. Okay. So to wrap up, I've told you the characteristic of AI. I've told you what is traditional AI. And traditional AI is doing a recall from its learned memory. Generative AI is the new category of AI, which is generating images, pictures, videos, all kinds of text, and it's chatting. ChatGPT is an example of generative AI. Gemini is an example of generative AI. CoPilot from Microsoft is an example of generative AI. And there's tons of tools out there which are saying, I will do your deck. We can create all these kind of copies and Grammarly and a lot of things have integrated generative AI in there. Even when you go to LinkedIn, if you try to make a post, it will offer to rewrite your post very nicely, and that is generative AI. If you actually see an article that is on LinkedIn, it will actually offer you to read that article out if you want. This is providing accessibility support. So there are some good, nice to haves, but for enterprise, if you want to really make it, do something to, save your time and do some kind of business analysis, or if you want to do some market research, then it stops short because generative AI is just chatting with you, just creating content. So this is where Agent AI comes in. So I've got a whole new LinkedIn learning course on Agent AI, so I cannot do justice to everything of Agent AI, but I want to show you how to build an Agent AI. Just tell you what is Agent AI. So the difference between large language models like ChatGPT, which is chatting with us, and if you go to any search engine today, if you type, it begins chatting with you. Go to Google, it will start chatting with you. That is all got some kind of generative AI LLM model behind it. Okay, so most everything you're engaging with is doing some text summarization of even Zoom. Right now I'm on Zoom, and here is an option. If you see here, it says it is watching and it will give me a text summary of my talk. And that's why I was telling, if you don't want to be in there, you should not speak up because it will copy all that, right? It will take that and transcribe it. So it's going to give me a nice summary of what this presentation was about. And those of you who joined the Zoom or signed up on the MailChimp link to be updated about Agent AI, I will send you that link, summary, if that's interesting for you. You can see that. But it is listening and it's summarizing, right? So the current capability of generative AI is it can produce language to chat. It can do text summarization. It can do a Q&A, things like that, right? And so how do you bring that to do something useful for the enterprise? Is there anybody here who wants a specific application you're thinking from what you're hearing, saying, hey, I would like to do that. I would like to see that being built. Otherwise, I have some ideas of what I want to show you next. And I'm going to show you multiple tools, not just one of them, because I try to be very agnostic to any particular vendor or tool, but I like things that are useful for my students. So I play with them, test them out. And then if it doesn't have unethical practices or too much of a catch in terms of pricing, then I would recommend that. So today what I'm going to show you are free stuff, but there are other paid options out there too, right? And all the big vendors in technology space have some generative agent AI offering these days. In my previous classes, I've used IBM Watson, and IBM Watson has one, Microsoft Copilot has one, I told you, right? So the difference between agent AI and generative AI. So we learned traditional AI, then we moved to generative AI, and we moved to agent AI now. The difference between agent AI and generating with generative AI is you can chat all you want. You can prompt and say, give me this image, give me that image, give me that video, do this audio. But that is very limiting to a business workflow. If you go to a website and you have a chatbot chatting, I go to Amazon, and Amazon has something called Rufus, which is a chatbot. And I say, hey, can you find me this? And Rufus would say, okay, because Rufus has been trained with Amazon's inventory, and Rufus will fetch that for me. But if I say, can you look at my past order? Is this the same model that I ordered last time? That's how you would talk to a human. Rufus can't do that. And so it becomes limited. And so what Agent AI is doing what a chatbot does. Like it is chatting and it is using large language models, but it can also run programs and it can go fetch documents. It can do searches. It can do comparisons. What you would do programmatically, you can do those runs along with an LLM, nice chat interface and summarization and Q&A, that kind of thing is what Agent AI is doing. Now, in summary, that is what an agent AI. In simple English, that's what I would say an agent AI is doing. Agent AI is like a chatbot, but it's not just an LLM. It can actually do more automated things for you. It can search things for you. It can run things for you. So when you go into a course and they start explaining what is agent AI and what its capabilities are, that's when it gets complicated, because they would tell you an agent AI has one or more LLMs. An LLM is like a chatbot, right? Like a ChatGPT, but it is using tools. Tools could be anything that it can run. A search engine is a tool. If it is going to run a program where it can do some comparisons, that becomes a tool. So they will say, hey, you have the LLM, you have the tools, and then it is going to store this in memory and then do some processing and say, hey, is this what the customer wanted? Is that the customer, what did the customer ask? Let me compare. To do that, it needs to have some kind of data store. That's memory. So in essence, an LLM plus the tool plus the memory becomes the agent, right? That's how you build an agent. So if you're going to programmatically build an agent, then you might have this one called crew.ai. I'm going to start giving you tools now. There is a one called crew.ai. I'm trying to get to the general chat here. Yeah. Crew.ai, which is going to use like a Python notebook, and then you download and then you say, this is what I want the agent to do. I want this to use this LLM. I want it to use Minstrel. I want to use OpenAI chat or GPT 3.5, or I want it to use Gemini. I want to use a specific model. So you choose a model and then you say, here's the data store, like a database where it is sitting, right? It could be the cloud, it could be local, right? And then you say, I want it to use certain tools. These are the tools. I want to use these data sources. I wanted to use my own company data. So I want to ingest data from various places. And so that is what you would do if to build an agent AI. I want to pause because I feel like I scared you with the reality how you build agent AI, because you need all this. But I'm going to give you a no-code version. I'm going to give you more than one tool. Okay. So questions, guys. Anybody has questions here on LinkedIn? You can ask away, chat away. So agent essentially has LLM plus some tools plus some data store / memory, right? That is how, and what, so let's take a step back. All that is like, sausage making, right? When you say it's building and you need to build with all this, but what is an agent doing? So I told you an agent is like an LLM, but it can actually it can make decisions for us, right? It can actually say, hey, going back to the Rufus example, the customer is saying, can I look at my past order? And I brought this kind of shoes. Is it the same model or is it a different model? And I want to compare because I don't want to buy the same model, right? Or based on what the goal of the customer is. So this is called reasoning of the LLM. So then there are different ways by which you can make the LLM do reasoning and think about, do I compare with what the customer is saying already? Should I actually look at the environment? And am I getting new data from the customer? Do I feed this to the customer? So the agent could interact with the human, or the agent could run pretty autonomously. The agent could run in iterative cycles till it reaches its goal. So this is all the characteristic of agents. So I'm going to now take a step back and show you a very simple agent tool. Okay, there is one called AgentGPT. Let me find it. Okay, anybody here on chat can even send me a DM if you don't want it to be a public message. I'm going to show you, is there anything that I'm missing? Is there a burning question you have before I show you the demo? And this is not even a demo. This is a live demo where I'm going to build an agent. I'm going to show you an agent working. And I told you I try to be very agnostic to brands, so I'm going to show you more than one. Okay, so what I'm going to show now is called AgentGPT. For those of you who are here on the Zoom, if you want, on your computers, you can open AgentGPT and do this in parallel. You can do that even for those of you who are on the LinkedIn Live. It's just I'm not going to be able to see your notebooks, but I can answer your questions. Yeah. Okay. So AgentGPT is where I'm going. So let me share my screen. And if you have any questions, add it in the comments, guys, or you can DM me. For those of you in the Zoom, you have that extra privilege here today. Okay, so AgentGPT, I just Googled AgentGPT and came here. Okay, this is the URL for it. Can you see it? Okay, so I believe up to 5 runs. So AgentGPT is going to, we're going to build an agent. It can do a lot of different things. They have a bunch of templates here. If you go here, it can research things for you. It can build a whole brand performance plan. If I want to build a travel plan, it can go look for deals and build out a whole itinerary. It can do a lot of things. It can even build your resume. It can give you a study guide, marketing GPT. So there's a lot of these, right? It can plan your event, whole bunch of things, right? So I'm going to go back here to home. They've given me 3 templates just as an example, okay? So they're saying create a comprehensive report of the Nike company. So they want to do a research. So when you say you're researching a company, so one of the common use cases of a business analyst is to understand the industry, understand specific companies, and you do research. And how do you do research? You do a lot of, you use some keywords, and then you go search, do a lot of searches. You look at the information and you organize it and you make comparisons and say, this is not good enough. I'm going to collate it. I'm going to get more information. So it's an iterative process and there are steps to do that. So, okay. So I'm going to say create, let me do this. Create a industry report. I don't want to use the same word they're using. Create an industry report of LinkedIn company. Okay. And I could use tools. Remember, one of the things I said with agents is uses an LLM. In this case, AgentGPT uses GPT, right? GPT 3.5 or GPT 4. That's the LLM they are already using. It can use a tool. In this case, the tool can be an image generator. So I can select it or unselect it, right? It uses Google search. It can write more code. You can actually connect your own data source. I told you if you have your company customer information sitting in a data set somewhere, you can, feed that also. I'm not going to add more here. In this case, I'm happy if it goes searches in Google and it generates some images and gets me the report to show an industry report of LinkedIn. And, oh, this is just the name, right? This is the name. This is where the prompt goes, right? And I would say, okay, so now industry report of LinkedIn. And I do a run. And this is free up to 5 rounds of, so this, yes, it is using, did you guys see here? It's using GPT 3.5. So up to 5 runs, it's free. After that, this will stop. Otherwise, it will charge us, okay? Okay, I need to sign in. Let me do that. Okay, I'm going to stop the share so I can just go sign in with my Google. Okay, I'm going to come back, do the share. And here we go. So I just, the name is Industry Report of LinkedIn Company, and my prompt is create an industry report of LinkedIn Company. You could do this of a whole industry. So it is doing it very fast, but it's created a bunch of tasks and it's written down what it is going to do, right? And it is executing. So if you see, it is embarking on a new goal and it created a task saying, I'm going to research the company and gather relevant information. It added another task saying, I'm going to analyze the company's financial and market performance. I'm going to compile the information into a report format. And then I'm going to proofread and finalize the industry report. And then it starts the tasks, right? And it is searching the web. See, searching the web is one of the tools that it is using. And then it is executing. Ta-da, ta-da, and it's done, right? It finished. Now it is collated and organized and nice in a nice report format, and it is done, right? It says finish for each stage of the report, and then you got the whole thing, right? You can say, okay, now can you summarize this for me? The summarize is another LLM capability I told you, and here it is summarizing that for us, right? Okay, so this is one of the examples of what an agent can do for us. An agent can take what we ask, break it into tasks, and then it goes, runs the tasks. Running is the capability of the agent that an LLM cannot do. But it is using an LLM. In this case, AgentGPT is using GPT 3.5, which is the same backend brain of ChatGPT. And then it is using Google search. If you want, you can say, I want you to use Bing. I want you to use this data source from my customer. Go talk to that. Okay, questions, comments, any, do you see how you can use this in your company, in your job? Okay, I see a question here. Gonna get my glasses so I can read your question from this prompt. Okay, how do we know how much storage or what kind of LLM is needed? Also, how about the privacy and security? Beautiful question. So thank you for that. Storage is the memory. And how much storage or what kind of LLM are two questions. Okay, so if we use a specific tool, AgentGPT is using GPT 3.5. I'm going to show you other LLMs that have a lot more flexibility, other not LLMs, other agent AI tools that might say, hey, do you want to connect to your own LLM of choice? So when you get my LLM, when you get my agent AI course, you'll know how to pick which is the right LLM for you. But there are various options of LLM. Easiest, like it could be an open source LLM, it could be a paid LLM. You might want to figure out what is the LLM that you have access to. So that's how you pick an LLM. For a basic LLM that it is doing research, like a GPT or a Gemini or a Minstrel, they are all similar, right? It's not too different. But if you're doing something like a language translation, then there is something called T5. There is something called Llama, various versions of Llama, and there is difference in their capability towards certain languages versus some other languages. And so then you might say, I want it to do T5. I don't want it to do GPT, or I don't want it to do Llama because this is faster. So it might be faster. It might cost you less compute time. You already might have access to it. You might prefer open source versus a closed platform. Those are it is you find it has better performance towards the job that you're asking it to do. That's how you pick the LLM. And in this case, because it is a hosted product, it is going to be on their cloud. So the way many of these hosted no-code products charge is based on usage. And they will fetch you the report. In this case, this report, they're creating a resume, they're creating a brand plan, they're running an analysis. And some of you who have taken my past classes about machine learning, especially if you've come from my Stanford class, or if you have taken my LinkedIn learning course on, a no-code AI course, basic one, I use a tool called Akkio, let me do this, AKKIO. And that one is for machine learning. Now, what Akkio has done is they have integrated GPT-4 to it. So you can actually take a data set and you can query the data set and draw insights from the data set, which is also an agent capability. It's just fascinating. You have to stop and think about, I can chat with it. That's great. But what kind of things do I want to do, right? And your superpower, especially if you're thinking about this as no code and you're coming to do this, your superpower is to make this work for your customer, to create value for your company. So ask questions. What can it do? Can it do this? Can it do that? And you'll be surprised it can do everything. You just might need to add more tools. So to your question about storage, if it is running on the cloud, then you're going to, how much results are you going to store? In this case, I asked it to do a report. If I ask it to find every reference of the word LinkedIn on the internet, then that might be a lot of storage, right? So that is how you decide on the storage question. Then you had another question in here about the privacy and security of these. So I was showing you one of my students who had completed the course today, and he's a cybersecurity expert. So security is a very, very important aspect of all this. So if you are going to give your own company data set, then the LLM is going to take information from the internet and it's going to spit it out in its chat. When you start giving your own data source, then till GPT-4, whatever you are feeding, it was kind of being gobbled up by the LLM. So your customer information could not be fed. Now there are many, many tools. They've gated it and they said the concept is called RAG. And they've said it's called retrieval augmented generation. And they basically say, give your data source, but we'll keep it separate. So there are several tools that do that. So I want to show you one more. Let me see if I have that. So guys, do you have any question from what you have done? And those of you who are watching here, especially on LinkedIn, you could, I'm trying to see whether there's a question here. Okay, so I just saw there's a like. Okay, awesome. So if you have any question, you can come add a comment question and I will come and answer that for you. Especially if you post the question on Business School of AI on LinkedIn, that's my student community. I will answer that for you. I promise that. If I don't, I have a team. They will make sure I come and answer that. Okay. I wanted to show you some more tools because I try to be agnostic and I love this stuff. I keep playing with a lot of these, right? So just a small time check. We are at 6:50, so it's another 10 minutes out. So if you have a burning question, I'm going to answer that. So what LLM to use? Storage, about privacy and security. I hope I answered that question. Do you have more questions about that? Okay. Security is a much bigger topic on how do you deal with it. So I've kind of dodged that question, so I've not answered that. But essentially, by choosing an LLM, you're going with an option that you trust. And by choosing a storage, especially if you choose an product that is cloud-based, then you're kind of putting it on the cloud, and where that would be is also another decision you're making. But when you ingest your own customer data using RAG, then you have to be careful. Are they going to store it? Are they going to learn from that experience? And now the next person comes in and does AgentGPT. Are they going to remember your data? So that's important, whether you have the flexibility to flush your data out. In AgentGPT, they're not ingesting data. So let me show you one. I believe the CoPilot can do that, where you can ingest data from multiple data sources. So let me go back to, there is something called Notebook LLM. So I'm going to go, let me see whether I can make a new, go to the home page and start afresh. Okay, I got it. So here it is called Notebook LLM. This is built on Gemini. So what I showed you, the AgentGPT is built from OpenAI's GPT 3.5. That's the LLM. So Notebook LLM, not Notebook LLM, sorry. Notebook LM. Notebook LM is built on Gemini from Google. And CoPilot, when we try to use CoPilot, it's from Microsoft, right? CoPilot also has its own agent tool, but that's a much bigger topic. So I'm going to show you Notebook LM. So, and those of you who are here on Zoom, you can just go to Notebook LM and you can create a free account. And even if you make it with Google, it's not going to be, connected to your Google account to look at your data or anything else. This is separate, okay? This is a free experimental side of Google, okay? And those of you who are on LinkedIn, you can come back, watch this, and then try this on your own. And again, if you have questions, if you, add a comment here, or if you add it at Business School of AI, I will definitely answer it for you, okay? So let me go to Notebook. So what I've done is I've gone to notebooklm.google.com and I've created a free account, okay? And it says Notebook LM is experimental, which means they are not connecting to your Google account and they're not, looking at your data. So I tried to create a demo notebook, and you know what I'm going to do? Actually, I should not use the demo notebook. I'm going to make this from scratch. Let's do this together. Especially those of you who are on Zoom, let's do this together, guys. Okay, don't worry. Especially when you're looking at AI, today we covered a lot. I went back to the basics of AI, traditional AI, generative AI, and and then agents, and there's so much jargon in there. So don't worry about it. We are just going to see the beauty of agents. We are going to build some agents. You can go to AgentGPT, what I showed earlier, and you can build something, right? To do all the different templates that they showed, you can do that within minutes, right? Here, I'm going to show you a whole new notebook. So this is called Notebook LM. I'm going to create a new notebook. Okay. The first step, goes back to the question I saw in chat about your own data sources and privacy and stuff. So, okay. So when I created Notebook LM, they asked me, what are my data sources? They said, you are going to get information from various data sources, and the LLM is going to chat with you, summarize things for you. It is going to retrieve that information for you. So tell me what your data sources are. So what I ended up doing is I said, okay, I use Google Sheets, I use Google Docs. Most of the LLMs, most of the agent, no-code agent platforms, when you go, they ask you what are your data sources. And they have hooks and connectors to a lot of them, right? That's a kind of common thing. Okay, so what I'm doing is, the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a file, and I'm going to add a file here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to search and find, let me hide this window. So I'm going to find my, what happened? Why is it making that noise? Okay. Going to go back to documents. No, I want to sit here. Okay. Let me go find the document. Okay. I'm going to find generative AI. I'm going to find my book. I'm going to come back here. So I'm going to, so here is the Kindle version of my book. That is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to drag and drop. Can I drag and drop? Yes, I can. Generative AI, primer for product and business managers. So I'm safely using a data source that I have permission to use, which is my book. Okay. So what it is going to do is it's going to ingest this document. That's a data source. This is RAG, remember, retrieval augmented generation. And I'm going to make it understand it. It can give an audio overview of my book. Oh my God. It can actually do some kind of summaries. It is giving a summary of the book. It can give me a study guide. Now it's generating a study guide. It can do all kinds of fun things. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so then I'm going to go download. I had a research paper also I wanted it to do. Look at it. Okay, so it's creating a whole study guide. It's taking too much time. I don't have patience for it. So I'm going to go, okay, it did. It did come back with the study guide. Not bad. Okay, so here's a study guide for my book. If you have my book, it's great. You can do this for any document, okay? So I'm going to go add another source, and I'm going to choose this file. This is a research paper that I'm reading and about agents, and I want to understand that, okay? So it could be any PDF essentially, right? Now it is showing the source. What it has done is it has taken the entire document, read it in its memory, and now it is actually, this is about this document, this paper is about meta prompting, and I mentioned the word reasoning. So it says these are the key topics in here. So you can actually say, okay, what is AI reasoning? And then it tells me everything about that. So this is a very interesting way to find documents, to find data sources, and then glean information from it. That is what it is doing. It's going to save a lot of time, right? And multi-mode AI. There's a lot of interesting things in here. Okay, so again, I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop this. Similarly, you can actually input a video, and it can come from YouTube. And then you can chat with it, right? You can query it and say, okay, find me a summary of this, find me the key topics from here. Let's discuss this AI reasoning. What does this mean? So it's very fascinating. Okay, questions, comments. So I've given you an example. So I told you LLM is doing generative AI, and it is chatting with you. It is doing summaries, Q&A, chats, right? All the different search engines are doing that. And agent AI is using an LLM, but it is using tools and memory, data store. You can give in your own data from your enterprise collection, and it's going to query it. Now you saw query is just not like a ask a question, right? You could say, hey, when did we close this customer account? When was that deal? What is the size of the deal? What date was this done? What's the contract? Fetch me the contract. What does this say in the contract? So you can see what I showed you as chatting with my book and the study guide can now be real enterprise use case where you can actually use this in your sales process, your marketing process, in your business analysis. You can do this in, all kinds of job areas. Okay, questions, comments. We are reaching the end of the hour. I hope that was helpful because we looked at AgentGPT, which was using OpenAI's GPT 3.5 as the LLM. We looked at Notebook LLM. Notebook LLM has a lot more capability that is using Gemini. You could use CoPilot. I have not got access to CoPilot. When I have access to CoPilot, I'm happy to show you a demo for you. They have I have access to CoPilot. There's a new capability. They've added a no-code aspect of CoPilot agents. I've not had a chance to fully play with it. I did a little chat with it today, and I want to show you more than that. But all these agents can do a lot of things. What it can do is can run using tools and searches. But the most important use case you see here, previously there was this exuberance about generative AI saying it's generating images, it's generating content, it's writing copies. The real value is information retrieval, and it is fetching this information. Now, the question that you have to ask yourself about bringing your business acumen and applying this to your own job is to say, okay, I can go fetch a document and find information from the document. I can quickly let it summarize things, give me the key points, search in the document, find things for me. How can I use this in my sales workflow, in my marketing workflow, in my business analysis workflow, in my HR workflow? How can I use it so that it's creating value? So think about this. So when you hear about agent, there's one thing that I want to leave you with. It's very powerful, but it depends what you want to do with it. If you just say, oh, it's writing copy and it's writing poetry and singing a song and it's like mimicking somebody, that's fine. But I think it's not best use of your time. Definitely not your corporate time or your career time. Whereas if you think, hey, it is going to look at various documents and fetch information and it's going to make my life easy, then think about what you do on a daily basis. What is the pain point you have? What is the pain point your customer has? What you can use and what you can do with this. And so I gave you some sample of, don't think of this, it's just doing summarization and Q&A. That's what they were talking about LLM. With agent, it can do anything you want with a data source, do some runs, and it can fetch information to your workflow to make life easy for you. So think about that. And I would love to leave you with this question. When you go and try this with AgentGPT or with Notebook LM or with CoPilot, and there's so many other tools that you might come across, what is it that you are doing that's useful, that's tied to your work? I'm curious. I would love to hear from you. So when you go and try this after this session with us, when you go try this and you say, okay, Sudha showed the research of a market research of a company. Sudha showed chatting with and looking at information retrieval using a PDF of a document. You can try that with a video. You can try that with an audio. You can generate the summary in an audio form. You can do all that. How are you going to use this for your customer? How are you going to use this to enhance your work, your career? How are you going to apply this? That's the beauty. I would love to hear from you. So if you're coming and watching this back on LinkedIn later, add a comment. If you have questions while you're trying this out and it's very specific and you want me to, guide you on that, I love helping my students. I know I have thousands of students from various places I teach, but when you talk to me, you are my only student and I will give you answers. So come to Business School of AI on LinkedIn and post your question or share what you're building. Love to see that. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, guys, unless somebody has any burning question here. And thank you for everybody who chatted here and asked me question. try out my courses or try out the other courses recommended by LinkedIn, and tell me if you still have questions. And let me add the MailChimp here, because that is where I'm going to make sure that I can stay in touch with you related to Agent AI. So if you are already here, those of you got the Zoom link, you must have signed up on this MailChimp, and you're going to get follow-ups from me. So one promise I've made today is, anybody who has signed up here, I'm going to give you a summary of this, what I get from Zoom about our own session today. So you'll get a nice LLM summary, and then you do your own summary, you do your information retrieval, try it for your workflow, and tell me what you're using, whether you're using AgentGPT. You might find a whole new tool that I've not shared here today. I would love to hear from you. Okay. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to stop the live stream first. Let me go back to LinkedIn to see whether there is any burning question from anyone. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Awesome. Okay. Bye. Stay safe. Okay. And I will see you back at Weekly Wed if you're going to be part of my community. Let me put that back up here. So you can come to Business School of AI on LinkedIn and I'll answer your questions, or you can get my newsletter, or you can just come to Weekly Wed and we can have a live conversation. This is on Zoom. This is not live streamed. And we have a close discussion with, small set of, 20, 30 people. My students from various worlds come to talk to speakers like we did today, but you can have live Q&A on various topics. And it's hosted by an amazing researcher called Yashashwini Vishwanath from Bangalore, one of my Stanford students, but she's brilliant. I cannot take credit for all her brilliance as my class, but she's brilliant. So she hosts the Weekly Wed. So with that, I'm going to wrap up, everybody, and I will see you online. And stay safe and continue your learning. And when my Agent AI course drops on LinkedIn Learning, I'll be sure to let you know.